Hi, welcome to this new video dedicated to the new XK project. This is the X252 Shuttle XK, the double toys deluxe division. And this new model, after the great X251, one of my best cheap brushless machine recently introduced, after this very interesting model, here is the new one, including an FPV, okay? But more, now it's also able to fly in 3D. It means that if you are a great pilot, you can fly in Virgin and into FPV. That's great. So you have the same ingredient, Futaba protocol based for at least 300 meters of control range, brushless motors, compact, lightweight, as you will see in a few seconds. So everything is here to have a good machine, and this model is including a 5.8 GHz FPV screen, as well as a video transmitter, of course. So let's discover what you will find in this bundle. So here is the contents, okay? Here is the quadcopter itself. So immediately, compared to the X251, everything now is in plastic, no more carbon element. Well, in the X251, like here, only the boom and the landing gears was in carbon. But here, everything in plastic, so it means that in terms of durability and crash resistance, unfortunately, it will be less strong than this model, okay? This one is known to be very solid and impact crash resistant. But I would say that the plastic is not so bad at all, okay? So I'm not so afraid, and the good news is still very light, okay? So, for example, without the LiPo batteries, this model weighs something like 179 grams, so it's pretty light. So, come with, you have this battery. Now, you can see that double XK, try to sell more spare by introducing some proprietary batteries, and unfortunately it's not a good idea. And in fact, if you remove this 1, 2, 3, 4 and clip this part, you will be able to find exactly the same batteries as this one. So it's just to sell more spare parts, okay? Anyway, this plastic housing allow an easy introduction and remove of the batteries. Just need two clips and voila. But they could save at least 10 grams by having a normal LiPo battery. It's a drawback in my point of view. Associated with this battery, you have this kind of plastic. It's the balancer plug adapter, okay? You will have to gently introduce like this and plug into the 2S balancer plug of your provided charger, okay? So you just need two clips like this and you will be able to charge thanks to this basic charger, not very interesting. You need close to 1 hour and a half, 2 hours to charge. I will provide a small mode to do it, to use to plug your favorite LiPo charger. It's a must to do. Okay, so associated with this charger, you have the power unit, very basic one, okay. It's the same for all double toys XK model, delivering a 10 volt up to 0.8 ampere. Install on front, I already installed it. It's provided a 4 GB micro SD card, that's pretty good, and associated with a basic micro SD card reader. So the novelty here, it's the FPV. So with the super, well, in terms of RTF, it's a very good transmitter, large but very good and precise. This is the X7, like the X251. So with the presence of this extra button to turn on and off recording, okay, of your FPV module, because it's not only broadcasting the FPV screen, it's also recording in 720p your video flight, so it's pretty good. And to install your FPV monitor, you have this kind of monitor mount, very basic, but it's working, it's efficient, and you just need to clip your FPV monitors, okay, like this is pretty easy. One word about the FPV monitors. Well, as you can see with the reflection, you have a bright screen, so first bad news. If I turn on You can see the black screen, so no white snow, so it means that the firmware flashed with this FPV monitor is not really FPV friendly. You need to this USB charging cable to charge the internal LiPo. No more external LiPo battery bay like in some double toys model. And here you have a mini dip switch to select one of the 8 frequency bands. Be aware, it's no more using the Boscam band like many of double toys products. If I'm not wrong, the change of frequency band now they are using the A band. Okay, so like some FXT transmitter. Okay, so be aware of it. Maybe they change their video transmitter module provider. So I'm not a great fan of this FPV monitor. Small, bright, the angle of vision is not great. Even with the sunshade, the brightness is not strong at all. No brightness settings, okay, and the sensitivity is relatively poor. And you have a black screen, so definitively not an amazing one. So the basic default frequency of your X251, in fact, on the bottom side, you cannot find any sweep selector to tune your video frequency. I mean, it's blocked, if I'm not wrong, to the E1 frequency, so it's 5725, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I will if I'm wrong, I will write the correct one, but it seems to be the right one according to my testing on FPV monitors. I will make a small demo in a few instants. So no possibility to change the video frequency. It means that if you have several X251 to fly in the same time, it's not really possible. So let's decover the bottom side here to insert your micro SD card. Okay, it's pretty good. And on the small one, here you have a small hole here. Okay, if I can give you. This small hole is to press the bind button. So compared to the XK251, the bind button hole was here, now is here. It's much more smaller. You need a longer tweezer to access to it, okay, but it's still possible. And you should hear a small click when it's not really easy to access to this bind button, but it's possible from the external side, okay? So you need a long tweezer or something thin to enter and to push bottom to hear the bind plug pressed. Okay, motors have some, if I'm not wrong, some 1804 type. Okay, so they are much more bigger compared to the X251. So expect more thrust, more powerful machine. And if the good news here, everything, the FPV, the 720p recording plus the LiPo, okay, I will give you the exact weight. Okay, I won't start up the machine. Weights only, hope you can see, 231.5 grams. Wow, it's pretty light. So if you are an American, you can fly it without any regular registration. That's a pretty good news. On front, when I turn on, you can see some very bright white LEDs. It's pretty good, okay? And blue LEDs on front. The status green turn into red according to your flight mode on the rear arms. That's a pretty good point. You have some small piece of foam to welcoming hard landing, but it's okay. So, well, I like generally the design. It's a compact kind of Church 633, but much more lighter, really more aerodynamics, and I'm pretty sure it will handle wind pretty well. Okay, so now returning to the props, because it's a 3D model, let's discover the difference. In fact, you have such kind of low hub profile, so 3 millimeters low profile of the hub section. Still, you have the motors are still using this M4 thread size. Okay, so they are very hard to find this type of motor caps, so be aware to not lose some, but there are some. But if the lengths of the props are the same, okay, they are a little bit different, especially in extremity, probably to be a 3D model. So if you have a 3D model, it means that this quadcopter have to offer in both directions, up and down, the same amount of thrust. This is why the design is slightly different, but no free range. When you have 3D props, they can be good for both pushing or lifting the quadcopter. So you have a compromise. So if you want, and it was assumed to be provided, if you don't plan to fly in 3D, I strongly advise to install more this kind of original X251 props. You will have more power lift versus a real 3D props, okay? But anyway, don't forget that the motors are bigger, so the thrust should be not bad at all, okay? So a basic chassis, but the plastic quality is pretty good and it's pretty light. You have some hole to refresh the maximum the electronic behind. Notice that the 2.4 GHz receiver is installed on the rear, so if you want to extend your control range, just drill a small hole behind to install your antenna vertically. Should be good. And on the left side, you will find the linear 5.8 GHz linear antenna also. Maybe you can drill a small hole to install it and hot glue it more vertically to extend your FPV range. It's a basic mode you can do. Okay, so, well, I like it. I was afraid that it was very fragile. Okay, it won't resist to a frontal high-speed crash, especially if you hit a branch very fast. Probably the arm will break at the main body arm section here around, but I'm a little bit more confident now. I've got it in hand about the crash durability. Okay, let's focus now on the radio transmitter, Futaba protocol based, SFHSS to be more precise. So this is the X7 model. Compared to the X's, you have this button to trigger your camera recording. Okay, so basic one, let's discover it. This button is to turn on or off the gyro stabilization. So here, when it's up, you are in a 6G, and when it's down in the 3G, okay, in a pure acro mode, that's pretty good. This one is to turn on and off the 3D capacity, so be aware because it's a real 3D model and it will impact the throttle behavior, so be aware. So the very basic important switch is this one. This is a throttle hold. When you have a problem, you will crash, whatever, you are in panic mode, press this one down and it will stop immediately the motor to spin. And this one is a dual rate to increase the rate, okay? So this model is able to store up to 10 memory bank. Okay, so how to proceed? Turn on, and you have to long press on the mode button. Okay, and then you enter. Okay, in the menu profile. But to access to the more advanced setting, you have to press both button. Okay, more than 2 seconds, and you enter. Okay, if you press on push button here, now you will be able to select one of the 10 bank here. Okay, so for example, by default you are in bank 0. Okay, it's associated with an helicopter basing behavior, but whatever. So, and you press back to return. So this is the advanced menu to navigate between the banks, but the basic settings are available by pressing more than 2 seconds the mode button. Okay, and by default you are playing with the reverb channel. Here no reverb channel, so I will go directly to the dual rate. So you can set the dual rate of the first channel, the aileron, and the second is the elevator, and the fourth is nothing under the rudder. Okay, so what are the basic settings? We are enter. So in the normal rate, it's the aileron and the elevator are in 80%, while the rudder in 80%. As soon as I will press the dual rate, you can see that the rudder is set to 100%, aileron and elevator to 100%. You have to know that if you need more sporty attitude, you can press on it and set to 125. Okay, so it's up to you. See, you want more pitch. Okay, just go set the one channel, the third channel, so the elevator, aileron, the second, to 125, sorry, if you need more pitchy angle. Okay, so it's up to you. Okay, the third, we press back, and we now look to the expo. By default, expo are in the normal settings. 1 to 0, second to 0, 4 to 0. So nothing special. The throttle curve is very important. So this throttle curve will impact the switch button, okay, according to the flight mode, 3D or not 3D mode you are activated. Let's focus on the non-3D mode. So when it's up here, let's look. So one is set to 0, second to 25, 3 to 35, 4 to 55, and 5 to 75. It means that in a 6G, you don't have maximum of throttle capacities. If you want more thrust, to have more punchy, you set it to whatever 100% if you want. Okay, so you have to know that you can increase the throttle punch out. It's pretty good. Okay, in a 3D mode, when I press this switch down, you will see the behavior completely different. Now, be aware, the central command is around the 50% of your throttle course. Okay, so when it's down, it will push the motor at the inverse sense of rotation at maximum, as you can see. 100% to the first one. Okay. Second is 60. Third is around the middle of the throttle course is around 30%. This is your minimum idle mode. And above this 50%, so one for the 4 settings, you will start again to 60% to have positive angle, positive pitch, and the fifth is 100%. Okay, so basically you go to my 100, 60, 30, 60, 100. Okay, so it's the behavior of your throttle course in a 3D mode. Let's have a look now to the pitch angle. Okay, sorry, to the pitch angle. Okay, pitch angle, whatever the flight mode, seems to be set to, for the first point, 60, second 60, third 60, fourth 65, 75, fifth 100. Okay, whatever the flight mode seems to be the same. Okay, so and finally the last setting is the gyros. So it will impact this switch button. Okay, so let's have a look. So when I'm in the 6G full stabilization, gyro is set to 75, and when I set to the gyro in a pure acro mode, it's down to 25. Okay, so if you notice that your quadcopter is not flying in acro mode, go to this gyro settings and put a value below 42, 41, if I'm not wrong. It will activate the gyro, the acro mode. Okay, so it was the setting of the transmitter. This one is a very good model. Very, I really like how it's flying. Okay, and it accepts 6 AA NMH batteries. That's pretty good. Okay, so really, everything is okay. Now I want to show something about the FPV. Okay, so I will use this FPV monitor and turn on the quadcopter and to show you the basic behavior of the FPV camera. So as I said previously, the FPV frequency is set to the E1, so it takes a couple of seconds for the video signal to appear, okay, approximately 5 seconds, and then it appears. So I will turn on the radio transmitter. To be sure, I will install throttle hold, turn on the radio, okay. And as I said previously, the rear LEDs are showing the flight mode. So 6G is green, in acro mode is red. It's pretty good, okay? So, and here is the FPV signal. So, as you can see, pretty fluid, and you have the written in lower right, the amount of file you can currently save into your SD card. Okay, but when I will press the recording button here, okay, you have a time-lapse happening, but now look, the frame rate decrease. Okay, so it's a drawback. It's not really compatible to fly FPV aggressively or an FPV racer. That's a drawback. If you want to save your 720p resolution as well to fly FPV, you will suffer of a frame rate drop. It's definitively a drawback. Okay, so now looks the different when I stop to record. Now it's perfectly free. It's a real drawback in my point of view. The light sensitivity is not pretty good. As you can see, look, the time to adapt from a strong light to a lighter one, it's too low in my point of view. The angle of view is not bad. You have 120 degree of field of view, something like this in my point of view. Okay, so I'm not a great fan of the FPV camera, especially for the wide dynamic light adaptation and the frame rate drop associated with the recording. Okay, so I will conclude this first analysis of the XK252. Sounds to be a pretty powerful racer. Well, with a stronger motor than the X251, but now the body is full plastic and is more fragile. But I'm not so afraid about the durability of the main canopy. I regret the introduction of the proprietary batteries, but I will show that it will be at least possible to install a normal one, nanotech, for example, install this plastic housing and use a normal charger. It's not a big problem. You are still the same low profile props, so you don't have a lot of spare one. And with mine, it was assumed to have some non-3D props provided. I don't have, and also an instruction manual. I don't have it too. Okay, so but what I really like is the general design, the presence of the strong daylights, and the FPV camera without recording is not bad at all. Light adaptation is poor. On the other hand, 4 GB here, okay, is provided. The transmission range as well, the FPV range is not bad at all. You will see that you can reach 200, 300 meters without problem, without any antenna mode, and with, you can expect more range. Okay, so I regret the frame rate drop when it's recording, and for the FPV monitors is relatively poor sensitivity, the lack of visual angle, and the blue screen, black screen here. So I strongly advise to fly with a more professional FPV goggles or FPV monitors set to the A1 frequency 5725 megahertz. Okay, so please expect and check my orders videos coming pretty soon, okay? And if you like my video, please thumb it, and if you like my channel in general, please subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, here is the internal part of the XK252. So you will have to remove, first of all, 6 screw per arms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 6 by 4, 24 plus 6, 30. So here is the 2.4 GHz receiver, Futaba protocol based, with the 60,500 installed here. This is the 5.8 GHz video transmitter camera bundle and the flying contouring board installed. Notice that you have a small bind button, but it's possible to access to it through this small hole here. Okay, you would need a tweezer, okay, to access like this. It's possible, and click on it. You can hear the click. For the bind button is less easy to access versus the X251. The camera lens attached with the ribbon cable. Everything looks clean. LEDs attached with connectors, so it's pretty good, and just this part is 142 grams standalone. Okay, so pretty easy to disassemble everything. Everything is compact. Okay, no foam installed on the FC, but okay. I don't know which. This is probably the main MCU here. Okay.